Shalom, brothers and sisters. Shalom. Giving honor and praise unto the Most High, the Creator, the Maker of heaven and earth. My name is Yeshsarai of the tribe of Dan of the nation of Israel. This particular presentation, brothers and sisters, we do not intend for this to be long, but we want to go over the Hebrew with the Talmud concerning what we see in the Torah. For those who have subscribed to the channel, Mordeh Yeshaya Torah Lessons, and certainly for those who subscribe to the channel, Mordeh Yeshaya Hebrew Lessons, you would know that it went from lesson 1 all the way past lesson 50, going all the way, brothers and sisters, now into the matter of biblical Hebrew. So we ask you to subscribe to the channel, to comment, to like, and to share. We hope and pray that everybody is well and will be better. I call myself, sidebar, maybe being a little funny, not trying to be funny, call myself doing a little rap here and so forth is not as good or whatever, but I'm comfortable with it and hopefully it looks presentable, if we may say. We are going to, brothers and sisters, shut down the camera for the moment and begin in prayer, and from there move on. Hallelujah. Borenu, Moshienu, Malkenu, Ya Elohenu, Melech HaOlam, Borei Haaretz. Torah Rabbah, Kiata Hayita Imanu, Kasha Anaknu Zaraknu O Kalihiyot Bakayenu. Torah Rabbah, Kilo Azabtanu, Ki Atayodea, Beliotka Eneno Yekolim La Asot Sundabar. Ya Borenu, Ya Malkenu, Ya Rofenu. Rapa Kulanu, Wagam Ke Anaknu Nerupa. Tiyena Imam Ka Yisrael, Babet HaSoharim, Babet HaKolim, Wagam Ke Babate Zarot. Tiyena Imak Shabotenu, Wagam Ke Libotenu. Tiyena Im Hanashim, Wagam Eha Anashim. Tiyena Im Hayaladim, Wagam Et Haylado. Tiyena Im Has Kwanim, Wahas Kwano. Shu Bebakusha, Lanu Esefatenu, Tarbutenu, Darke, Yerushatenu, Yahweh Elohim. Melech HaOlam, Borei Haaretz, Ein Shawe Laka Bashamayim, Ein Kimoka Ba Shamayim, O Ba'aretz, O Bamayim Mitaka La'aretz. Tilame Bebakusha Naya, Ruach Ne'ima, Wagam Ken Ruach Anawa. Hallelujah. Amen. Brothers and sisters, in this presentation, we're going to be on 2 different channels. That is to say, Mordeh Yeshaya Torah Lessons and Mordeh Yeshaya Hebrew Lessons. We're going to go over the Hebrew that you see in Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 44. All right, so we ask you all to get your pens, your pads, and your paper and to take notes. Thank you for that. Again, subscribe to the channel. We're going to, at this time, pull up the PowerPoint. Shalom, my brother, Yirmiyahu. And we're going to start with the slideshow from the beginning in that case. Shalom, giving honor to the Most High. This presentation is brought to you by Danite Publications. We hope you all are well and will be better. We ask you all to comment, like, subscribe, and share. I can be reached at 908-587-4841. 908-587-4841. Thank you for that. Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 44. And this is the law which Moses set before the children of Israel. Now, Let us look at this, brothers and sisters. If I can be heard well and people in good spirits, please type in the number 4. If I can be heard well and people are in good spirits, please type in the number 4. Thank you. And it goes to say in this manner, remembering that Hebrew is read from right to left. Wazot HaTorah Asher Sam Moshe Lifnei B'nai Yisrael. Now, earlier on the channel, Mordei Yeshaya Torah lessons as well as Mordei Yeshaya history lessons, we went over the fact of Yisrael written on coins that even date to the timing of the Roman Empire. Why was that important, if I may say? Is because it shows how sometimes they try to take Israel and interchange it with another name. Now, let's look at that. Jew. There is, brothers and sisters, no proper way to say Jew in Hebrew. The terminology you might hear people say, such as Yahudi, means of Judah, just as much as Menashe means of Manasseh. That's to say in English, Judite or Manassite. Because both Yahudah and Manasseh in Hebrew end with the letter Hey. And I'm going to, brothers and sisters, not trying to be sidetracked, but show with the laser pointer here and circle the letter Hey we see here for reference purposes. We're going to circle the letter Hey here that we see for reference purposes. So looking at that, the word Manasseh, said as Menashe, meaning one who causes to forget, and the word Yahudah, meaning Yah be praised. Both end in the letter Hey. So when you hear the term Yahudi, or you might hear the term Menashe, what you're hearing is one saying of Judah, of Manasseh. It does not mean Jew. Because in Hebrew, the letter Dalet does not ever drop off. So how then does it change from Yahudah to Yahud in Persian, to Ayudia in Latin, to Judah in English? But then people will say Jew is just short for Judah. No, it is not. It is something to make others who are not of the 12 tribes of Israel feel welcomed in, as if one law for the stranger and one law for the homeborn wasn't good enough. You have to try to, for the lack of a better term, play with the language to try to fit another people in. So, brothers and sisters, that is something we care to point out for reference purposes. All right? So, without any further ado, we want to get into this, brothers and sisters. And let's look. All right? That wah is where you get and. Now, one of the things we care to point out in Hebrew, brothers and sisters, is that and in Hebrew, unlike in English, is wah or wah. And it is connected to the word that follows it. So you see in English, and this. In Hebrew, the and the this is one word. Wazot. It's not like wah and then zot. All right? Then we see, if there's any questions or comments, please feel free to type it into the chat. The other thing we see is ha. Let's look at this real quick. Right? We see this right here, color-coded. And I try to make this big so people can see it on their screen, their TVs, or wherever else is maybe on, so we can try to break this down as meticulous as possible with clarity. Ha Torah. This is where you get the term we see here in English, the law. Law, we expounded on before in Hebrew more so, is the word cope. You understand? Torah, we're going to point out, means the word teaching. And this is the law, more so translated as, and this is the teaching. Now, this is not to knock anyone or disrespect anyone. There was a teaching that was going around saying that the word Torah comes from the word Ora. No, it does not. Yes, we know Ora means light. And yes, we know the Torah is a light. But that is not where the word linguistically in Hebraic lingual matters come from. The word Torah does not come from the word Ora. It comes in part from the root Hora, which means to teach. All right? So this is something, brothers and sisters, we care to point out on for reference purposes. All right? So here is what we're going to look at again. Ha, meaning the. Like the word and in Hebrew, which is wa or wah, it is connected to the word that is following it. So you would say, ha Torah, not ha as in one word, meaning the, and Torah is a separate word. In Hebrew, words such as and the are connected to the word that follows it. If there's any questions about what we just stated, please type it into the chat. You can text me at 908-587-4841 as well. All right? Wazot HaTorah. And this is, now, I want to point something else out, if we will. All right? Is in Hebrew is understood. There is properly no Hebrew set word, meaning the word is. All right? So we can see that for reference purposes for those who are interested. Thank you for that. So now, brothers and sisters, looking at it in this particular manner. And this is the law. Wazot, and this is HaTorah, the law, the teaching. So let's go back here, if we will, brothers and sisters. All right? Wazot HaTorah Asher. Give me 1 second, brothers and sisters. I must take this. Shalom. Sorry about that, family. That was an important call that I had to take. If I can be heard and people in good spirits, if I can still be heard well, please type in the number 4. Thank you for that. All right, so let's continue where we were. Wazot HaTorah, and this is the law. Asher, which. Thank you for that, family, for typing that in. Which. So we see the word which here. We see it in here. Which is. That is. All right. So these are things we care to point out for reference purposes. All right. Hopefully everybody is well and will be better. Asher, Sam, Moshe. Now we know for the most part here that Moshe is Moses, right? Sam, we see here, is where we see the word set. So what can we point out? And I want to color code this. Brothers and sisters, again, if there's any questions about the grammar or anything we're going over, please let it be known for reference purposes in the comment. This word you see here, Sam, can also, believe it or not, say be said as Sham. All right? Meaning set. Sam Moshe. We see here in the English here, Moses set. Now, that word psalm is the verb. Moses is the noun in this. In Hebrew, you would see, brothers and sisters, that, especially in biblical Hebrew, that the verb precedes the noun. The verb precedes the noun. So we just want to, brothers and sisters, point that out for reference purposes. All right? So we see, and this is the law which we've gone over, Asher, which Moshe set. This set is the word set, put, or place, is the word psalm. All right? Now, for those who've been following and or know about the matter with the lingual matters, you will begin to see that the word psalm or sham, all right, but we're going to keep it on the basis of psalm for the moment. I'll explain why after the lesson. That is what you call a lamed, no, pardon me. That is what you call an ayin yod verb. All right? So, an ayin yod verb I'm going to say is this. Ayin yod verbs are verbs with the yod as the second root letter. All right? So this is something we care to point out for reference purposes. Let's look. Iron, I want to spell as such with it in that case. All right. So you don't see a yod, brothers and sisters, in this word here. You understand? The yod drops out when it is conjugated in the past tense. What is a conjugation? All right, we're going to say this. Conjugation. When a verb is put in a tense. Now, when we say a tense, we're talking past tense, future tense, or present tense. All right? Any ayin yod verbs, not playing salesman on the Shabbat, this was discussed in the Hebrew book, Hebrews Easy, Volume 3. The ayin yod verb, it drops out, in the past tense and in the present tense. You see it come back, if you want to put it in terms like that, in the future tense and by default in a command form. All right? So these are things we care to point out for reference purposes. We want to get as much as we can glean regarding Hebrew grammar, Hebrew structure, and things of that nature. The verb precedes the noun or pronoun in many cases in biblical Hebrew. Now, if it were to say, brothers and sisters, right? Wazot HaTorah Asher Moshe Sam. That's not incorrect. But the way that biblical Hebrew works, and as we are pointing out, is that you have it to where the verb precedes the pronoun or the noun. In Hebrew grammar, we want to point this out and write this into the chat. Thank you all, brothers and sisters, for that. All right. The adjective follows the noun. So can somebody give me in the chat a noun, any noun? Not a name, which goes into kind of like pronouns, but can we just give a noun? We know a noun is a person, a place, or a thing. So what can we say concerning that? Can anybody type in a noun, whether you type it in Hebrew or English? Thank you. Because we just don't want to go over a matter of a verse, not to knock that whatsoever. We want to get as much Hebrew as we can out of this. All righty. CP, son of wisdom, shalom, my brother. Typed in the word dog. Now, somebody, C-Mac, typed in the word car. Thank you for that. Now, let's look at this, and I don't mean to get sidetracked. A car didn't exist in ancient Israel. So the Hebrew word that you will see today for car is the word mekonit, which is the same root word meaning machine. So computer, car, and machine all mean that from the in Hebrew mekonit. All right, just want to point that out. Somebody typed in tree. All right. Somebody typed in mountain. So let's look at those words right there, right? We're going to look at dog. The Hebrew word for dog is keleb. Now, keleb is dog. And we just said that the adjective in Hebrew grammar follows the noun, biblically and classical as well. All right? Keleb, tob. A good dog. Right? So, a, like is, in Hebrew is understood. So here we have, brothers and sisters, what? Tree. Right? The Hebrew word for tree is eitz, the same word meaning wood. All right? So you would say eitz, tob, a good tree. Because the adjective in Hebrew follows the noun. Somebody typed in mountain. The Hebrew word for mountain is hall. All right? So let's just look. You have hall, tob, a good mountain. Now let's look, brothers and sisters, at this. You have the word woman. How do you say woman in Hebrew? Hint, it's the same word for wife. How would you say woman in Hebrew, brothers and sisters? And what I'm going to do on my end, so it can show on both of the channels that this is on, is go here, because we want to get some Hebrew edification done, brothers and sisters. All right? And as we see here correctly typed in, is the word Isha. All right, so let's look if we will, right? Isha means woman. So here we see what? Isha Toba, a good woman. Now, the word that Shamar typed in is the word Ish in Hebrew letters. Now, what do we want to point out? If we were to say Ish, meaning man, you would say Ish Tob, a good man. And what we're caring to point out, brothers and sisters, is that Hebrew has grammar in that case. Now, Isha Toba, Ish Tob. All right. So, in light of that, if we will, looking at it like this, you have Ish Tob, a good man. Now, remembering, brothers and sisters, that in Hebrew, the adjective follows the noun. All right? I'm being asked why not the other way, Tob Ish, because in Hebraic grammar, the adjective follows the noun. And in many languages, it does. No disrespect, we're speaking English, but English is probably the language that's backward. Because let's look at it maybe this way, right? A good, excellent, upright man. In Hebrew, it said, Ish, Tob, Yashar, Umzuyan. That's how that works in that case. Now, if a person is saying, I am good, right? We want to emphasize it by saying, Ani Tob. Correctly, we would not say, though many Israelites do, guilty of it, not trying to castigate no one, Tob Ani. The way you're saying Tob Ani should properly be said as, we want to point out, Tob Li. Tob Li more so would mean good is to me, as opposed to saying I need Tob and saying I am good. I am being asked, I think, was the connection between the words Ish, Aish, and Isha not trying to sidebar the convo? No, that actually is a good question because it's related to that. Now, in theory, it's been taught in Israel that Aish, thank you for that, my brother Dora, that the word Aish meaning fire and Ish meaning man and Isha meaning woman coming together of man and woman is a fire. In that case, that's been one thought that has been taught. All right. So these are things we care to brothers and sisters point out for reference purposes. All right. Any questions concerning that in that manner, please type it into the chat. Let us pull up, if we will, again, this here. And we're going to start from current slide, right? We've already gone over and we're going to review it for the people who came along a little later. Thank you for that. Let's look at this if we will, right? Thank you all for such. Looking at the laser pointer with the time allotted. Thank you for that. Results, and this is HaTorah. Asher Sa Moshe. Let's stop right there. Let us color code this so that way for those who are interested can see how this works. Highlighter. And this is where you see this word here. And this is the law. We're going to color code it a different color, which we already pointed out. Torah more so means teaching. And the word kok more so means law or statute. In this case. Then we have here, brothers and sisters, color coded, right? Which we see here. And brothers and sisters, color coding it, set. We see here the word Psalm. Moshe we know as Moses. So looking at that, brothers and sisters, for reference purposes, right? We then are by default able to see what we're doing and what we're dealing with. Result HaTorah, and this is HaTorah. Now, I'm going to emphasize this again. This wow, and this and, as in this hey, meaning ha, the, and this the you see here color-coded, right? Words such as and the are connected to the word in Hebrew that follows it. It's not like and is one word by itself and the word following it is another word. In Hebrew, it becomes one word. All right? So, looking at that for edification purposes, if we will. Same thing with the word the. Ha-ish, the man. It's not ha-ish. All right? In a future Hebrew lesson, we're going to go over using the word Kohen, meaning priest. A priest, the priest. The good priest, the priest is good. The good high priest, the high priest is good. We're going to go over that for reference purposes, brothers and sisters, for Hebrew grammar and for Hebrew edification. I want to sidebar, and I mean not to be disrespectful. I do these for the love I have in my heart. Let me turn this camera on. I do these things, brothers and sisters, glory to the Most High, giving thanks to the Most High to be able to do it, for the love I have in my heart to want to bring it out to the people. I sat under my Hebrew teachers, Moreh Mishael, may he rest in peace. Kohen Mikael, may the Most High continue to bless his life. Adon Aharon, may he rest in peace. Moreh Tibak, may he rest in peace. Ema Miriam, may the Most High continue to bless her life. Ema Shoshana, who wrote a Hebrew book herself, may the Most High continue to bless her life. Ema Shalomi, from when I was a child. Brothers and sisters, and looking upon it in that manner, it is in due respect to give back to your people what was given to you. Don't worry about views, because remember, Israelites are watched by the CIA and other organizations. So, hey, I'm getting more views. You don't know who's watching you. Just do the work. Maybe they can learn something too if they're trying to be a spy. Come on through the channel, comment, like, and subscribe yourself if you want. Oh, thou troll. If you have the time for that, thinking one thing and another. Like somebody wrote the book. I think Gert Miller's his name. The ancient Black Hebrews and Arabs is the name of the book by Gert Miller. And somebody bought it, and they said they bought it to try to contest it, but come to find out, like, oh wow, this stuff is true. So don't be hesitant to bring this out to the people. Bring it out, brothers and sisters. Don't be like what Proverbs says, a lion is in the street, so I'm not going to do it. I wanted to, brothers and sisters, get into this last night, but I'm not trying to be funny. I was extremely tired from the week and just went on to sleep. So after that rest, being able to sit there and do this now with a much more energized spirit, let's continue. And by the way, I'll tell anybody, I'll say it in Hebrew first. Bikru Morka Bikorna Moratken. What I'm saying is pick your teacher. There are numerous Hebrew teachers in the house of Israel. To the 300 and something people who subscribe to the channel, Moreh Yeshaya Hebrew Lessons, and to the 2,500 and something people that subscribe to the channel, Moreh Yeshaya Torah Lessons, and who watches it, comment, like, and subscribe. I appreciate the support. Let us continue in this. All right. We're going to, if there's any questions about what you see in the blue, the yellow, the green, please do not hesitate to put it into the chat. Thank you. So let's look, brothers and sisters, with the time allotted. Right? Moshe, we know, is Moses. All right, let's go on. Lifnei Bnei Yisrael. So let's look. You have the word lifnei before. Now this before is, brothers and sisters, if I were to, just using this as an example, right? Show the camera. If I were to say, I'm giving you these paper towels before you. That before, brothers and sisters, means that I'm putting it in front of you. That's what that means in that case. There is, we want to point out, brothers and sisters, another kind of before, which is the word terem. All right? Now, terem, brothers and sisters, meaning before, means before I started the lesson, before the live stream started. Those are two different kinds of before. Lifnei that you see there on the PowerPoint, brothers and sisters, is the before where you get words like lifaneka, before you, also meaning in your presence. So I want to emphasize the distinction. If there's any questions or comments, please feel free to type it into the chat. There is two different kinds of before. There's the terem that you see of in Genesis. Before the mist came up in Genesis chapter 2, you see that word terem there in that case. You understand? And then there's the word lifnei, both of them translated as before. But the lifnei we see here means he put the law before the people, meaning in front of or in the presence of. Let's look, brothers and sisters, and color code this for edification purposes. If you're looking at this word pene, right? Pene means face of, F-A-C-E, right? And in that case, if you're putting something, which we already understood is the word psalm, all right, that you see there, last word on the top line, remember Hebrew goes from right to left. In that case, that before lifnei means you're putting something in front of my face. Now, if yesterday I did something, before I did something today, that will become the word terem as far as timing is concerned. Being at the word pene, that pei, that noon, and that yod, coming in part from the root panim, meaning face, F-A-C-E. Before me or in me, now we get where the commandments is at. Lo hichir laka Elohim akerim al panai. You shall not have any other gods before me. You shall not have any other gods in my presence. That before is not the word terem, meaning before today was yesterday. That's a different kind of before. Just want to point that out. Okay, someone is asking, is the word zo written this way? It is because our Torah is feminine like it. Would not the word zo or Yeshsarai be used here as well? Or is Zeh seen as masculine and feminine depending on the context? That is a definite good point. Thank you for that. Zot is feminine and Torah is feminine. So stop thinking that Hebrew could be misogynistic when law, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding are all feminine words in Hebrew. But yes, to answer your question, my brother Dora, Torah being feminine, and Hebrew is the language of gender, like Mordei Mishael, may he rest in peace, pointed out. That's why you see Zot, Torah, and not Zeh, Torah, all right? So I just want to point that out for reference purposes. Thank you for that. Actually pointed out to me. Torah, my brother. Be teachable. Lifnei. B'nai Yisrael. Now let's look, if we will, right? Children of Israel. Remind me of Dennis Brown, a song called Children of Israel. But getting back into this, may Dennis Brown rest in peace. B'nai Yisrael, meaning the children of Israel. These children of Israel included elders, included elder women. Now, what are we reading in that particular case? What else do we want to point out, like Lifnei and Terem? Again, if there's any questions, please feel free to comment on it. B'nai meaning children of. But the word for child, we want to, brothers and sisters, put into here is the word Yeled. Yeled means child. Brothers and sisters. So when you see B'nai Yisrael, you won't see Yaldei Yisrael, because that would literally mean the children, as in a child, one underage, if you will. That's how we know the translation as the children of Israel, B'nai Yisrael. Brothers and sisters, by the way, there's a group of people in the East that lay claim to being B'nai Yisrael, but that's another subject for a diaspora matter. Now, getting back into this, B'nai Yisrael, the children of Israel, you wouldn't say Yaldei Yisrael. That would more so mean the boys of Israel. So these Ben, meaning son, Banim, sons, and B'nai, sons of, excuse me for that, right? You would more so properly see it as B'nai Yisrael, the sons of Israel, the children of Israel, which does include females. This is not trying to be funny, disrespectful, or anything of that sort. I want to show something, if I may. You see these? These are my fringes, two on each side, right? If they can be seen as on my garment, all right, in that particular case. In Judaism, they say that the females should not wear fringes, because they're saying that it says B'nai, meaning from Ben, meaning son, so it's only for males. That's not what the book is saying, brothers and sisters, because it says to the B'nai Yisrael, lo tigno, thou shalt not steal. That doesn't make it right for women to do it. You understand? So this is something we want to point out for reference purposes. Lifnei in front of, before, B'nai Yisrael, before, in front of the children of Israel. Now, Yisrael, this is not to get sidetracked, does not come from the Egyptian Isis, which is in the Egyptian thing said in Greek, Ra and El. All right? That is not what that means and where it comes from for reference purposes. Yisrael, we pointed out, brothers and sisters, all right, let us get into this. This letter you see here is the Yod, making its Y sound. That serves as a prefix. Then we have here, brothers and sisters, color coding it, if we will, right? Underneath it, that's seen in that Rish. That, brothers and sisters, is what you call from the ayin wow verb. All right? I'm going to type this in. Ayin wow verb. Now, get your pens, your pads, your paper, take notes. All right? Ayin wow verb is any verb that has the wow as the second letter. For those who remember or knew, you will find out that we went over the word psalm, which is an ayin yod verb. So what happens in an ayin yod verb when it's conjugated, meaning put in a tense, whether past, future, or present, the second root letter drops out. Same premise with the ayin wow. Hebrew is easy, not difficult. Different, but not difficult. So let's understand that, brothers and sisters. All right? So that scene in that resh, it comes from the Hebrew word sur, which means to contend. And it comes from the lamed hey verb. I know that may sound like a lot. It comes also from lamed hey verb. A lamed hey verb is any verb that has hey as its last letter. Now, more so, believe it or not, coming from the Lamed, hey verb, more so than the ayin wow, I want to emphasize that. Sarah, to prevail. Sur, meaning to contend. In Genesis, it says, Ki sarita im Elohim watukal, because you have striven, you have prevailed with Elohim, and you were able. You were able, you have the ability to strive with Elohim. Now that is the spiritual reason why. The literal meaning of it, Yisrael, this yod, we see as the first letter there, right? I'm going to just show that being highlighted, or in that case, shown there. That yod shows it to be the future tense, third person masculine singular. Third person masculine singular. All the 12 tribes of Israel were named after something that was going on, including Yisrael himself. And of the 12 tribes of Israel, Reuben, behold the son. Shimon, hearing. Lewi, joined. Yahuda, Yah is praised. Dan, judge. Naphtali, my wrestling. God, fortune. Asher, happiness. Yissaskar, there's a reward. There's one that is hired. Zebulun, habitation or dwelling. Yosef, adding or increasing. Benjamin, son of the right side, son of the right hand. All 12 tribes were named by their mothers except for the last one. Again, so Hebrew's not misogynistic. Let's not sit back and think that, oh, well, the women don't have, quote, a voice or something of that nature. You understand? When Rachel gave birth to her last son, she shouted his name as Benoni, son of my sorrow. I would like to think, and not to put my own words in the scriptures, for self-esteem matters, let me have his name changed from son of my sorrow to son of the right hand, Benjamin. So just want to point that out. Sidebar. Do you know there are people, black people, in the land of Israel that say, and this is going to maybe rock some bells, and it's not trying to be funny. There are people, black people in the land of Israel, that say they're from the tribe of Benjamin, but are not Israelites. You heard right. There are people in the land of Israel that they claim to being of the house and tribe of Benjamin, but they do not say that they are Israelites. The only way possible for that to ever mentally even exist is in the time of Judges, when Israel and Benjamin were at odds. And we have no portion, nor will I give our sons or daughters to the people of Benjamin. So they developed their own, kind of, you want to say in today's term, maroon-like community, where we just stand against everything. Because the Maroons in Jamaica don't fall under the government of Jamaica. They got their own society. And when you have that for centuries, you might just say we're Benjamin and not saying we're the greater part or part of the larger part of Israel. But that's a whole other matter, brothers and sisters. Getting into, if you will, because there were black people that never did leave the land of Israel. All right, but that's a whole, we already know that. You can see that on TikTok. You understand? All right. So I'm being asked, should it not be pronounced as Yeshsarai? Good question. And here's the reason why not. Hebrew has vowels outside of, say, the ah sound. If we were to just say Yeshsarai, what does that mean? Because when I speak with brothers and sisters, mainly brothers, because I don't really talk with a lot of women outside of the sisters I might know in Israel growing up and not then it's just inbox Shalom and here's my lady's book and can you buy my book? I don't make much conversations with women. Sidebar, online or offline. I have a lady I speak with quite often. It's safer and respectful that way, brothers. Sidebar. But getting back into this matter right here, all right? What would Yeshsarai mean? Because if you were to say Yashar, the word Yashar in Hebrew by itself means righteous or upright. And if you were to say Allah in Hebrew would mean either one or two things. If you spell in Hebrew Allah with the letter Aleph, it means a curse. C-U-R-S-E. That's why you see ha'olot, these curses, or the curses, as well as kolala, meaning curse. Right? If you spell Allah in Hebrew with the ayin, it means in a verb form, meaning to ascend. So if we were to say Yasha Allah, what would be the root, the foundation, and the tense of such matter? Because when you say, for instance, Yisrael, or some say actually Yishrael, it's a future tense word. All right? I know people have their own way of pronouncing their Hebrew, it seems. The Hebrew that we see, such as Yahwadah, Shalom, and things of that kind of nature, Sawada, etc., that basically comes from an understanding of saying that Hebrew has no vowels, without taking into consideration that is a vowel. You understand? Long vowels or short vowels are still vowels. What a vowel actually is a sound that is written. Just like you got music notes, you got music that you actually play. And then you got, brothers and sisters, music notes on the paper. So what a vowel actually is a sound on the paper. So all languages having structure must by default have different kind of sounds. By the time Israel came along the scene was after the Tower of Babel. Now Babel, we know in Hebrew, means what? Confusion. But in the language of the Babylonians, Babel means something totally different. In Hebrew, Bar, with the Bet and the Resh, B-A-R, means pure or clean. But in Aramaic, the word bar means son, S-O-N. Now, this is not again to get sidetracked, but to show the importance of languages. When you read in the book of Malachi and it says the Son of Righteousness shall arise with healing in his wings, without maybe a Hebrew understanding, people have tried to say that's the character in the New Testament. People have tried to sit there and say that was plagiarized from the Egyptians and so forth. But no, such is not the case on either end with that. When you read in Malachi, for instance, that the Son of Righteousness shall arise, S-U-N, the Hebrew says the word shamash in root. In other form, shemesh. That word, S-U-N, more so is kama, that which is warm or that which is hot. From ham, meaning warm or hot. Shamash, aka shemesh, means a ministrant or a servant. So instead of reading the Son, S-U-N, in the book of Malachi, reading the Son of Righteousness shall arise with healing in his wings, it should say the servant of righteousness shall arise with healing in his wings. That's a matter in that particular case. Thank you for typing that in, Dora Yahoo. So these are just things to show you the importance of what we're talking about in such. In Deuteronomy chapter, I'm going to take the liberty to get my book on this one. Thank you for that, family. And this is from the book that I'll be reading from, called Tikkun LaKoraim, meaning the arrangement of the readers. This is basically the Torah in the book of Esther in Hebrew with no English. And we're going to read in Deuteronomy chapter 30. All right? So we can see why context is important for reference purposes. Now, what we'll be reading, remembering Hebrew is easy, not difficult. Different, but not difficult. Is going to be where you see my finger at in Deuteronomy chapter 30. And here's what we read, brothers and sisters. Thank you for that. Wahaya kiyabo'u aleka kohad barim ha'ele habraka wahakulala asher natati lefaneka wa hashebota el lebabeka bakal hagoyim asher hidikaka yore wahe eloheka shama. Verse 2. Washabta ad yore wahe eloheka, and you shall return until the Lord thy God. Now, I'm going to take the liberty, brothers and sisters, and highlight in pink so it can stand out, brothers and sisters, and show this on the camera. If I may turn the light on in this manner, right? And what do we see? I know the Shabbat is ending. We're going to conclude and we can continue. But let's look right here, if we will, brothers and sisters, at the pink that you see there. Okay, that's just intended on falling out. Where we see Washabta ad Yod He Wahe in the pink there. Shin Bet Tau Washabta. As you see there. I'm going to, brothers and sisters, in the blue, circle. And so when you see it again, you see the exact thing and the exact word that I'm talking about. Circled. Washabta. And you shall return, from the word shab, which means to return. See that, brothers and sisters? Here's the situation. If you have Hebrew with no vowels, and if you have Hebrew by default of no vowels, you have Hebrew with no conjugation. That word would not say, in translation, you shall return. That word in translation would say, was Shabbat, and the Sabbath. So now, instead of Deuteronomy 30 verse 2, and you shall return to the Lord thy God, it would say, and a Sabbath unto the Lord thy God. Because the letters are exactly the same, Shin Bet Tau. But understanding context, reading comprehension, and I don't say that to be insulting, and context clues, you'll begin to know and understand that there has to have a verb, a noun, a past, present, and future. So these, again, are things just to point out for reference purposes. I'm being asked, does the Tikkun have the Hebrew text with and without vowels for training purposes? I was thinking about getting one. I don't know why they have it to say whether it's for training purposes or not, but I do know that, as you can see, that part of it would have, I want to show this again real quick with the camera, on a page, part of it with vowels and part of it without. Brothers and sisters, there are illiterate people in English, but they still know how to speak English. I will go to venture to think, not being disrespectful, that the wicked men in the book of Judges were illiterate. They didn't take time to learn under their grandparents how to read Hebrew. I will go to venture to say that. The base men that you see of, the sons of Belial, Jeremiah talks about, for among my people are found wicked men.
I will go to venture to think that they didn't take out time to be, quote, taught how to read their own language, just knowing how to speak. So these are things, brothers and sisters, we care to point out for reference purposes. There are in Israel, sadly, people who are blind and they cannot read, but yet they can speak. So heaven forbid a situation where someone is blind and by default cannot see, but yet can speak one to another. How can we think that we gotta just see the language in order to know it? So when we say Yeshsarai, saying this is Ba, God, Daha, and so forth and so on, Hebrew, like any language, cannot be taught, like some say, in pictograph form, because not everybody can see. So if your language is based upon pictographs and shapes, like they say Aleph represents ox and Bet represents house and so forth and so on, if that be the sole premise of a language, then how do you explain a matter when someone cannot see it but yet able to speak it? The king is told to write a copy of the law. That means that literacy was promoted in the house of Israel. So these are just a couple of things to point out for reference purposes in that manner. There are other examples. In Leviticus chapter 3, letting the book speak for itself, right? It speaks of the Eshe, or Ishe, sorry. The word Ishe means fire offering. And this is in Leviticus 3. And Isha, we see, means woman. But in Hebrew, that aleph, that sheen, and that hey is the exact same lettering. The lettering that we see right there on this PowerPoint, in actuality, is Aramaic writing. You got English letters in Spanish and Spanish in English. It shares the same phonetic formation or the same lettering and character writing, but it's still a different language. So the quote Hebrew that you see in the book of Daniel, while we get into biblical Hebrew in these presentations, right, is actually Aramaic writing, as Aramaic writing that you see here in the Tikkun. Now, for those who may have missed it or so, this is the Tikkun here. This has from Genesis to Deuteronomy, the Haftorah portions, as well as the book of Esther and all Hebrew. This, I want to emphasize as a Hebrew teacher. This may sound off the wall to some, and I say this in no disrespect. There is, brothers and sisters, no such thing as Hebrew writing. I want to emphasize that again. The alphabet and the letters that you see, not in English on this slide on your computer or your phone, phonetically is Aramaic writing, spoken by Hebrews. Just the same. You can have A, B, C, D in French, English, and Spanish, but you know by certain things whether it's English, French, or Spanish. So the writing you see with the same phonetic matter in the book of Daniel is the same that you see in the book of Deuteronomy. But the lingua franca during the time of Daniel, that's to say the language that was commonly spoke, was Aramaic at that time. There are kings of Israel that have Aramaic names. And if Isaac's wife, Rebekah, the mother of Jacob, coming from the line of Shem, but was in the land of the Arameans, it's not far-fetched in that case. Just as much as we went over earlier, Aaron's grandson, Pinchas, that name is not a Hebrew name. Pinchas is the Egyptian word meaning black man or black one. All right, so these are just things we care to point out for reference purposes. Now, we didn't want to get too sidetracked, but we do want to show the matter of linguistics for edification purposes. All right. Any questions or comments concerning that? Please feel free to type it into the chat. Thank you. The translation, result, and this is a feminine word. I want to show this with the laser pointer. This is a feminine word. This word means this or this is. Ha-Torah, the teaching. Often this word is translated as law. Asher, which or which is. Sam or Sham, he placed. Now let me explain why I'm saying Sam or Sham. What is referred to, brothers and sisters, right, as this letter here called seen with the highlighter. All right, I want to show it as much real time as possible. When you're saying that this letter here with the dot or dagish on the left-hand side, it is generally taught in Hebrew that means that is a what? A seen. And if it's on the right side, it's a sheen. But here's the situation. Whether it's a seen or sheen, it has the same meaning, the same numerical value. And what you'll find out when you go in your own time in the scriptures to let the book speak, Psalms 119, Hebrew has 22 letters. They are as follows. Aleph, Bet, Gamel, Dalet. Hey, Waw, Zayin, Ket, Tet, Yod. Kaf, Lamet, Mem, Nun, Samek, Ayin, Pei, Zadeh, Kuf, Resh, Shin, Tau. Now, and what is referred to even in modern Hebrew alphabet, you have Aleph, Bet, Vet, Gamel, Dalet. Hey, Waw, Vav. Zayin, Ket, Tet, Yod, Kaf, 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 Sofit, Lamet, Mem, Mem, Sofit, Nun, Nun, Sofit, Samek, Ayin, Pei, Fe, Fe, Sofit, Zadeh, Zadeh, Sofit, Kuf, Re, Shin, Shin, Tau, and Thav. There's more letters in the quote modern Hebrew said alphabet than that of what you see in Psalms 119. So if we're teaching biblical Hebrew, we want to point out that because some nations, Europeans, could not sit there and say Yisrael, they created a thing called a seen letter, as opposed to just the seen letter. That's why sometimes you will find the seen letter in the Samek, which truly makes the S sound, interchanged when you read certain things as you go along. What am I saying? Anything in Hebrew alphabet that is doubled, whatever is the double of it, did not exist in Psalms 119. So there was no vet, there was no extra kaf, and then by default a kaf sofit. There was no mem sofit, no nun sofit, no fe sofit, no zadeh sofit, and there was no sav. So when we say Shabbat, you might hear some people, Europeans, say Shabbos. Because you cannot pronounce Abiba, you say Aviva. But that is an add-on to the language. So these are things we care to point out for reference purposes. What are your thoughts on Mikra Me'over? It has the empty text, Masoretic text, I think you're saying text, on the right with a modern Hebrew translation on the left, or vocalized. I don't know what to say because I don't know what the Mikra Me'ovar is. Sorry, my brother. Enlighten us on what the Mikra Me'ovar is. I don't know what that is. Sorry about that. So I can't say what I think or understand about that. Pardon me for that. Looking at it in this particular manner, Asher Sham would also mean Asher Sam. Same meaning, same numerical value, same translation. Well, yes, by default with the same meaning. So just want to point that out, if we will. All right, and Moshe, meaning Moses. That's what you would call by default a proper name. Lifnei, before or in front of. More so in front of. The word terem, we have pointed out, more so would mean before, like I did this before I did this. You wouldn't say, I went to the store before I went home by saying halakti la kanut, lifnei halakti la bayit. That's incorrect. You would say beterem before halakti la kanut. Beterem halakti la bayit halakti kanuta or la kanut. All right, so this is what we want to point out. Terem in that case. Now, for those who are listening and see, sometimes you might see Shemayim means heaven. Shemaima means heavens. You might see Mizraim, Egypt, which we know Mount Zor means distress. But in the place of it being context of a place, Mizraima means to Egypt. Beta means to the house or home. Shemaima means to the heavens. So you can say kanut meaning store to say kanuta to the store, as opposed to saying la kanut. These are things while we're going over Hebrew to show the easiness of Hebrew that we want to get into, brothers and sisters. B'nai, sons of, children of, but this children includes females as well. All right. Yisrael, we already expounded upon that for edification purposes. Asking you all to subscribe to the channel, to comment, to like, and to share. I'm going to take the liberty, if I may, brothers and sisters. Shabbat is over. We're going to close out in prayer. But I want to take the time out while we go over Hebrew to show some of the Hebrew works that my teacher's done. Ema Shoshana and her book. You can get this book. The link for such will be inside of the description or how to email to get this. So you want to learn Hebrew. This book is actually better than the books that I wrote. In that case, Beginner's Hebrew Handbook, written by my teacher. He actually has his picture on the back. This is my Hebrew teacher, Kohen Mikael, for edification purposes. You can get this book by going on Levitical Communications or by going online. All right, on Amazon. This is the book that my lady wrote, a poetry book. All of this is going to be inside the description. Chronicles of a Black Woman's Soul, In and Out of Time, written by my lady Sarai. All right, if we will, for reference purposes. This is the first book that her and I wrote, Hebrew for Couples. You can get that, as well as Brothers and Sisters Hebrew for Couples 2, as well as Brothers and Sisters Hebrew for Couples 3. You can get that online, brothers and sisters. The Hebrew books I wrote, Hebrew is Easy Volume 1, we've gone over that. Hebrew is Easy Volume 2, which explains why Hebrew has to have vowels, by the way. We talked about this one earlier. Hebrew is Easy Volume 3. This goes over the verbs, like the word ayin wow and ayin yod and so forth and so on. The matter of nouns, Hebrew is Easy Volume 4, for those interested. Hebrew is Easy Volume 5, about conversations one with another. In a book I dedicated in honor of my mother, Hebrew is Easy Volume 6, Conversation Among Family. I took some of the things that her and I will be talking about, brothers and sisters, and just put it in a form of such. So, brothers and sisters, the links for all of these will be inside the description for those who are interested in giving honor and praise unto the Most High, the Creator, the Maker of heaven and earth. I appreciate you all joining. Comment, like, subscribe, and share. I thank you all for your questions and so forth. So, what are your thoughts on, okay, this Hebrew translation of Torah and other books, but not all, came as a result of many and the modern Israel cannot understand biblical Hebrew. It makes it simple to those who don't understand it. All right, so are you saying things like when I speak, and it's not trying to be haughty, when I speak, Jewish people, modern, if you will, they will say things like, oh, you speak old Hebrew. Because I say things like Yad Ka, your hand, as opposed to Yad Shel Ka, which is more so quote unquote modern. I would say Ra'iti Ka, I saw you, as opposed to Ani Ra'iti Oka, which is not wrong. None of that is wrong, brothers and sisters, because Hebrew had to, like any other language, when Israel comes in contact with other nations, and I want to, so about history of Israel, through Jeremiah's eyes. And I want to explain why I want to do that lesson. Nebuchadnezzar is mentioned in Jeremiah, but Nebuchadnezzar is the Hebraic form. Nebuchadnezzar is the Hebrew way from the Chaldeans, Babylonian, Nebu-Irazu. What his mother and father named him, what Nebuchadnezzar and his Ema also named him, is not the same pronunciation we see in the scriptures. You understand? Belteshazzar in the book of Daniel in the Babylonian is not said as the same thing. When you read Joseph's name as an example, Zaphnath Paneah. Zaphnath Paneah means what? He who is called, he who brings life. But Paneah is not Egyptian. Paneah is the Hebrew form from the Egyptian word Epianku. So Zaphnath Paneah in Egyptian is truly more so said as Jetanaf Epianku. But to make it for the Hebrews, it is said as Zaphnath Paneah. Just the same. The names, and this is not trying to be funny, when people say evil Merodach, Awel Marduk, the second king that ruled after Nebuchadnezzar, if I stand corrected in my chronology. That's not his name from birth. I go so far to say that Achan or Achan that you see in the book of Joshua, meaning troubler, is not the name his parents gave him. What if I were to say, brothers and sisters, that some have pointed out, can somebody type in, and this is not trying to be disrespectful, we're communing as a family, can somebody type in the name of the first king of Israel in the scriptures in the chat? Because what you see there, history of Israel through Jeremiah's eyes, as we pointed out earlier, is that's when Assyria was falling. Egypt was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. Babylon was coming to power. Judah is like, uh-oh, and so forth and so on. So all of these different nations and kingdoms, you begin to see what happens with their languages and so forth. So can somebody type in Saul? Now, first king of Israel there, the brother Yirmiyahu typed in Saul. Said in Hebrew as what? How do you say Saul, or how is that name, which is the English transliteration? There's translation and transliteration. Yeshaya means Yah is salvation. That's the translation. Isaiah is the transliteration. Yirmiyahu, whom the Most High will exalt. The Most High will be exalted, whom the Most High exalts. Jeremiah is the transliteration of such. Shaul. Shaul does not mean Saul. Shaul means borrowed. Brothers and sisters, Shaul means asked or borrowed. So where you get Saul from? Where do we get Saul from if Shaul means asked or borrowed? Because there's translation and transliteration. That's how we get that. What if, as some pointed out in Psalm 57, Jonathan's father's real name, or by their government standard, was Labiah, meaning lion, L-I-O-N of God. Labi meaning lion, like the animal. Ari also means lion as well, but so does Labi. Psalm 57, according to some, is when we can see Saul's true name as Labiah, meaning lion, L-I-O-N of God. And that he was called Shaul in the scriptures because Israel asked for a king, so that became your title. So what do we want to point out is that when we're dealing with linguistics matters and things of that nature, it's broad. No one loves America more than one who hates Africa. Why do we need to travel? By the way, Hebrew is listed as part of Afro-Asiatic languages. Afro, like Africa. Artifacts of ancient Israel. Both of them being on Mora Yeshaya history lessons. Honoring the 12 presidents and ownership, October 22nd. Slavery in the Continental Congress, October 22nd. 2 on that one day. Mora Yeshaya history lessons. Last free public Hebrew class online, November 1st. So, last free public Hebrew class will be on Mora Yeshaya Hebrew lessons. After that date, with things going on in due respect in my life, no drama, just peace, but important, I'm going to not be able to dedicate online as much time with Hebrew classes. History, yes. Torah, most definitely. But after doing over 50 Hebrew classes online for free and having written 9 books, 3 of them in collaboration with my lady in the language, we're going to do one last big Hebrew class Wednesday, November 1st for about a good 3 to 4 hour Hebrew class. Mora Yeshaya Hebrew lessons in that case. Story of Solomon, Part 4. Mora Yeshaya history lessons, November 3rd. From Kemet to Compton, Part 4. Mora Yeshaya history lessons. History of Israel through Jeremiah's eyes, and we already stated why that is being presented. Honoring of 12 presidents and ownership, Part 5. We're going to talk about the dude, James Monroe, having a college named after him when he was a slave master of over 70 black people. But they say it's freedom. Okay. So, brothers and sisters, giving honor and praise unto the Most High, the Creator, the Maker of heaven and earth, asking you all to subscribe to the channel, comment, like, and share. Reach out to me. My number is there. That is 908-587-4841. 908-587-4841. Tisha FS Shimona 908-587. Kamesha Shimona Shiba 587. Arba Shimona Arba Ekad 4841. I want to say I thank the Most High Yah for my life. I thank the Most High for all of your lives. Hopefully our lives are well and Creator willing will be better. I want to say I thank the Most High for having made over 2 years in courting with the woman whom I with, Sarai, who, by the way, I want to show again her book for those who are interested. A book of poetry, Chronicles of a Black Woman's Soul in and Out of Time. I read this book. Some of the poems are funny, some of the poems are sad, but none of the poems are fake. To the people who supported our union, Todah Rabbah. To the people who didn't, Todah Rabbah. We hope and pray, brothers and sisters, that all of our unions are blessed and will continue to grow. Brothers, one thing I want to say that I learned from my lady, and I'll say this online, being very candid. I know, as I pointed on my channels in the past, what Isaac went through when it says he was comforted for his mother. I often talk about, I don't have my Ema no more. She's been deceased over 19 years now. It wasn't until a little over 2 years ago, March of 2021, when I met my lady Sarai, that I was able to find that kind of peace in that case. It doesn't make us brother simps, cowards, wimps, or anything like that. Because brothers, just as we know, a woman should not listen to a single miserable friend. Girl, just be single like me. Not all men are good and the good ones are taken. No. Speaking as a brother, don't listen to the people, she gonna do this, she gonna do it. Because that'll be the same brother that'll try to holler at her inbox or knowing her number, buy her book and get the email, and so forth while they telling you a bad word. You got some that have the Joab spirit. I'm going to sit there like Joab and slay Absalom and then go to David, his father, and say, well, you know, it really was on your honor because Absalom wasn't good. That's not a good character. The friends of Rehoboam, Solomon's son, were haters. In your relationship, beware of the Sonim, the haters. The Shonim, if you will. When you think something is bad in a relationship, you right there, girl, yo, that's when you show up. But when things are good, I ain't got to click like or heart. Let them be happy. You show your presence when you think something is not happy, which means that you're not truly concerned. You're just masin, Hebrew word for nosy. So brothers and sisters, be circumspect and use your wisdom in said manner. Sisters, don't play brothers. Brothers, don't play sisters. Because as we can see, the Most High is not playing. You understand? One thing my Ema told me, may she rest in peace, is this. Pardon me, I had to drink a little something. I know that didn't look the best with the whole bottle. Sorry. Don't lie to your lady. And I'm like, you shouldn't lie. I'm telling you, son, don't lie. When a woman finds a man is a liar, it's hard for her to gain that trust back. Gifts don't do it. Time does it. Brothers and sisters, in that particular case. That's something Ema, my mother, Emi, should I say, my mother taught me in due respect with that. Build that trust. It will be a lot more peace. Ask ever so often, grade me. E for excellent, G for good, S for satisfactory, N for needs improvement, or U for unsatisfactory. That's how the report cards used to be, I know, in New York for elementary. Don't rebel against the wisdom that she's giving you. It makes her feel, I say in due respect, not that she is, but makes her feel inadequate in your life. Everything she suggests, nope, I ain't no simp. Nope, I ain't doing that. Nope, I already had a mother. Nope, I already got. Then what's the point in her giving that safat kakma or that lip of wisdom or that tongue of wisdom? Or the dibura kakma or the speech of wisdom? If you reject each and every single thing that's suggested or offered and so forth. Know when to be in front, but never be the one not in leadership. What do I mean by that? A brother pointed this out to me. Leading doesn't mean you got to always be seen in the front. You know, directors and producers are hardly ever seen in the movie. You understand? But they're the ones leading it in that particular case. So if you're a producer as a man, if you're given something that is a matter of being a producer / provider, that needs to be noted and understood. I remember getting butt spankings for stealing from my mother as a child because I want to impress the girl in the class that I can buy her something. A woman of honor, she knows that's how you live it. She's not going to sit there and respect that. I was being told that while she's still spanking me. Like, you think she's going to like you if she see that's just the result? But when you work for something as a brother and as a man, it comes to be different. You understand? And another thing, brothers and sisters, and is not trying to sit there and be preachy. Me and her have made over 25 months. Over, now say 30 months. Make it happen. You know what I mean. The first thought that came to your head when I said make it happen, that's what you do. Kotan in Hebrew means father-in-law. Nasa in Hebrew means to marry. Us males, us men, we know it don't take 4, 5, 6 years. It might take longer to plan the wedding than to actually know that who you want to marry. Did you know that? Female sisters, speaking in general about us males, it does not take us so long to sit there and realize this is wifey. This is who I want to be to my wife. You understand? And brothers, again, not being preachy, I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist or whatever the term may be, just giving advice from experiences, brothers and sisters. Chief Elquana, elder that goes out of the congregation, Bake DCB. Da'at Kakma Bina. Da'at knowledge, Bina understanding, Kakma wisdom. DCB. An elder there by the name of Chief Elquana told me back in what they call the month of June of this year. Be her ears and her heart. Her aznayim, her ears, and her lab, her mind, her heart. You don't have to try to, and it's not being sexist. I have 3 sisters. I have a little princess. I have female cousins. I have a lady. I come from a woman. But sometimes some females try to, quote, get in his head or get in a man's head. Us brothers, we don't have to do that. If you have the heart, you ain't got to worry about, quote, the head. We don't have to do things as males to say, well, if I do this, I want to see what the reaction is. We don't have to do that. That is more so a feminine trait, and it's just what it is from my knowledge, from the woman I came from and the women I've seen, family and otherwise. You understand? I told my lady, I'm going to say it online, and it's the truth. I will never, matter of fact, I'm going to say it in Hebrew first, how I said it. Lo akrib lak isha akira. I will not oppose to you or approach you, Isha Akira, with another woman. Polygyny is for those who want it. I can't hate on it while saying this is Danite Publications, because Dan himself came out of the union of polygyny. So I definitely cannot hate on that. I wouldn't be in existence, and my existence is a lie, if I hate on it and if it did not exist. Dan's mother biologically was the handmaid who was the servant of Raquel. So spiritually, he was Raquel's son, biologically Bilhah's son. But Raquel was the woman who came along after Leah was already giving Jacob his children as his wife. So I can't call myself a Danite and have a website called Danite Publications and say polygyny is the worst thing on earth, because there will be no Danites had that not existed. But if it ain't for you, and like Solomon said, if you're wise for yourself. Wa'im labazka, with labad katisa. And if you scorn, wa'im labazta, labad katisa. And if you scorn, you alone shall bear it. Proverbs 9 verse 12. So be true to yourself. Hishamir laka. Take heed to yourself. You understand? I'm not going to sit there and say it ain't for anyone. That's not my place. But the way you go into something, and this relationship, going into it being clean, it wasn't like I got her, and she's like, I got him, and I can sit there and pick and choose. No, that's not how this union came to be, say 30, 31 months ago. No. Were there situations that could have been avoided? Yes. Were there disagreements? Was there any discordances? Yes. That's a part of life, brothers and sisters. But how do you handle that discordance? How do you handle that disagreement? That's where your wisdom come into play at. You don't have to get the last word in. And this is something that I found dealing with the sister whom I'm with, the sister Sarai. You don't have to get the last word in. It doesn't mean you're wrong just because the conversations come to a close and you, quote, being, quote, the bigger person. You're not being heard, sunned, or played, or being treated like a misfit or a doormat because you did not get, quote, the last word in, male or female. May the Most High lift his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. That's what we aim for. Not the last word, but for peace. Brothers and sisters, giving honor and praise unto the Most High. Asking you all to subscribe to the channel, comment, like, and share. Let us close out. Most High, King of all forefathers, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the true, the minded, living, and the only. We come before you, we ask you to be with us. God, should protect us from danger seen and unseen. Be with our minds, our thoughts,
our hearts and our deeds, O King. Let our futures be bright, O Holy One. For there is none like you in the heaven above or on the earth beneath. You're the one who healed me when I was sick, O King. You're the one who was with loved ones in these hospitals, O King, and brought out. You were the one, O Yah, who when people thought there was no way, shape, form, or fashion on how to deal with something, you made a way. I can definitely say thank you, O King, for that. When we thought we were stuck in DC with buses being missed, you let the way come through, O King. When things wasn't working out economically, financially, and thus by part spiritually, you allowed the comfort and the solution to come in. When I thought, O King, about not dealing with the teachings because the audio didn't sound right, use the computer for the video, the phone for the audio, and teach the children of Israel, my son. Thank you, O King, O Yah, for that wisdom. When the job wanted to give somebody a hard time, I don't want to go in on Shabbat, O Yah. So if it means it won't work with you, then so be it. Most High, heal us, strengthen us, socially, spiritually, culturally. Show us your hand is working in our favor, O King, and forgive us of our iniquities, O Yah. Hallelujah. Amen. Thank you, my brother Dora Yahu, for that comment. Thank you for everybody for their comment. It is most definitely appreciated. The brother wrote, "It is a blessing from the great Holy One to have such a union. May the great Holy One continue to add more to the union in all aspects." Thank you. And we hope and pray for everybody else's union in that same manner. Shalom. Subscribe to the channel. We're going to be focused as time goes on, as you may have seen, on the more Yeshaya history lessons, as we want to get these presentations done by a certain time and so forth. All right. I'm going to, in my personal life, be making some big moves. So the rest of the month of October and throughout the month of November, as these months are called, you will see more presentations. Come say the month of December is a lot of big changes. Not bad, but just necessary. So I won't be online as much, but not being funny or anything like that. The books are still on Amazon for those who are still interested. With that, I'm saying Toda Rabbah, Shalom. Most High bless.